Okay, that was less than 30 seconds, so hopefully I won't get busted because I love the music of Jeff Beck. It is now Thursday, excuse me, the 12th of January. There we go. Okay, there, see, okay, we're okay. So, folks, how are you all doing? That was a heavy blow to the music world and to me, to people like me, of my age, you know, people who grew up with the British invasion. The passing of Jeff Beck is a huge loss, huge loss. I haven't really gone on social media very much this morning yet. Usually the first thing I do on social media is I change my picture on Facebook every day, just something to do, you know. And then I catch up with comments, which I started to do, and there's just a flood of outpouring of love and grief over the passing of the amazing Jeff Beck. That's what I was playing, was Beck's Bolero off of this album, Truth. I think it's this big for others, but for me, the passing of Jeff Beck is like losing one of the Beatles. For me, the Beatles are a very central element of my growing up. They changed my life, the way that I see life. Literally, the Beatles, Beatlemania changed it. And the British wave, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, Dave Clark 5, the Yardbirds. I always include Hermits because as a little kid, they had a strong effect on me. Michael P. Dawson even talked about Freddie and the Dreamers, but when I was a little kid, I loved them. I did. They were goofy, and that cackle, it was perfect for a child, you know. It was perfect. The thing that I always dug about Jeff is that he was a poor kid, and he was an outsider, and he never was interested in celebrity. He wasn't interested in being a rock star. He was interested in, as he said it, birds, cars, and guitars. I wish I could do his voice. Some people I can imitate. Birds, as you know, is an old slang term for girls. But he could whip anybody's ass that came close to him on that guitar when it came to shooting sparks. That's the other thing about the way Jeff Beck played. He was not an Yngwie Malmsteen type where he just goes on and on and on and on. It's like gunfire. It's like he'll spray you, and then he'll stand back and look at the effect. Jeff Beck was badass. Very, very, very important man. Jeff Beck was, I hate to have to be saying was, an artist on the level, maybe even higher than David Bowie and Prince, two of the recent superstars that we've lost that have had a huge impact on me. Jeff Beck is on that level as far as his impact on culture and his importance to people personally. He's a bad motherfucker. He was. I love the fact that Jeff was just down with people and he played with whoever was good, regardless of gender or race. Would love to have met Jeff Beck. So I pulled what I could. Didn't pull everything because he's done a lot of studio work, and I have some of those records as well. But these are not in order, but Wired, this and Blow by Blow, which I'll show my copy is damaged, but I dare say that these albums, their importance regarding the evolution of rock music needs to go up. It needs to go up. See, because Jeff Beck didn't court celebrity, a lot of people don't really quite know who he is, but they've heard him and he's affected them. Yardbirds. This one is affectionately called Roger the Engineer, but that's not the name of the album. And this is 1966. This is the second pressing of it, 69, I think. And already on here, you hear all that guitar. You hear the excitement and the inventiveness of Jeff Beck. Already. I saw Jeff Beck on this tour last, 2010. Emotion and Commotion. This is a very good album. The thing about Jeff Beck is that even when the record is kind of so-so, when he plays, he always delivers. Always want to hear a Jeff Beck solo, no matter how lousy the song is. Like for example, he does I Put a Spell on You with Joss Stone on here. And I don't want to hear Joss Stone sing. She can sing, but I'm not interested. But you got me listening because Jeff Beck's going to play. Here we go. So I was showing this on CD, and you better believe I got this on vinyl. And he was off to a great start. You know, he really was. With Rod Stewart, I thought it was a really good match. Of course, blues is throughout here. And because of the way that Jeff handled the blues, I'll listen to it. Plus, coupled with Rod Stewart's amazing voice, especially at that time, you know what I mean? A white kid who could shout like that, that was extraordinary. And it was a great hookup between Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart. Love both of these albums, Beckola and Truth. And I love that cover too. Magritte? Is it a Magritte? Yeah, Renee Magritte. Beck. I was noticing online different musicians, and Vernon Reid of Living Colour was all tore up. I follow him, and he every now and then likes things that I say. And he was just tore up, but I really liked what he was saying because it was profound about it. You know, I can't even remember what he said, but if you follow Vernon Reid, see what he says yesterday about Jeff Beck's passing. He was gutted, and I think he spoke volumes for a lot of people. Beck, Volker, and Appice live in Japan. This is one of those albums where it's like, yeah, it's great to have, but boy, were these guys stoned for this show. It's like one of those things, and this is back in the day, you know. This is back in the day. And it's like you go to Japan, and I can just imagine it was just such a thrill and such a hedonistic mess that they probably just did way too many drugs, way too much coke in it. I can hear it. As a former coke user and musician who would play and use coke like musicians and artists do, I can hear it. Here's the studio album, which, again, the main thing about this album is Beck's playing. Most of this album, I think, is sucks. I really do. Always have. I've always thought this album sucks. If you like this album, so what? Don't get upset with me. I'm talking about what Dereck likes, okay? Jeff Beck was the feature. Lady is the one song, and they have it on a single, a promo single. That was the song that had potential. But apparently radio didn't work it or something, because it could have happened. It could have been a hit. Let me get on my Jeff Beck here. I'm glad I have these already, because you know when people die, everyone does a rush on the record store. Ooh, gotta have it now. It's a double whammy that my musical friend Lawrence Deal committed suicide, and the next day we lose Jeff Beck. It's been heavy, you know. Omaha has been grieving. The Omaha music community has been grieving Lawrence. And along these lines of how everybody's going to be running to get their Jeff Beck now, Glow in the Dark had just put out a new single. Sad to think that, well, it'll probably sell now. now that Lawrence is dead. It's cold, but that's life, isn't it? Jeff Beck, There and Back. And you know, all these albums have their merits. This is one I haven't played in a while. This is getting popped on today. This is the first time I got to see Jeff Beck was with the Jan Hammer Group. And it was really, really fantastic. I still see it like a movie. First, the Jan Hammer Group played, and I was really into them, you know, because of Mahavishnu and stuff and the other guys in the band. Great players. Their set was awesome. Jan Hammer, in his own way, didn't so much try to upstage Jeff Beck, but he's like, well, we're playing with Jeff Beck for a reason. And so they blazed. But when Jeff Beck came out, it was like an event. He stepped out on the stage, and I'll never forget this. We as an audience erupted, you know. Jeff Beck's in Omaha. There he is. And he comes out playing, you know, and then swings his guitar, his arm up. I'll never forget it. Jeff Beck is that huge artist. He is almost the penultimate example of what I'd be talking about when I'm talking to other musicians about. Musicians are always wanting to know, how do you get that tone? How do you get that sound? Guitar players and stuff. How do you get that sound? And the secret is it's in the way you touch. It's in the touch. Jeff Beck was like the ultimate of that. Didn't use a pick. You watch him play and look at his hands. How he is in deep communion with that guitar. And it's been stated by many people many times, no matter what guitar, no matter what amp, Jeff always sounded like Jeff. Incredible. Here's another one where he was flirting with commercial success. And he had that, what was that hit? I liked the video. It's on here. You know, Ambitious. Yeah, the first song, Ambitious. I thought it was kind of a funny video and enjoyed it when it was on TV at the time. Badass. Jeff Beck is just, he's that kind of dude. He was a dude. You know what I'm saying? He's a bloke. Just a great bloke. Love this album. Less than 2 weeks ago, I had this out, played it all the way through. Love this album. Love it. Blow by Blow. This, my original copy, don't know what happened to it, but this is my copy that I inherited from my friend Paul Cuevas, who died of cancer in the year 2000. And Paul was a very important friend to me and a big music lover. This album is one of the greatest albums. It is. Wired and Blow by Blow are very, very important recordings. People, you know what I'm trying to say. There's that iconic picture of the man. Another badass album. My brother James bought this when this came out, Rough and Ready. It was so funky. My brother was on it. And the other black kids in my neighborhood, the other black musicians, teenagers at the time this came out, everybody was hyped as hell about this album, and also happy that Cozy Powell was playing with him. And it was always very interesting how similar Jeff and Cozy's features are. Bad motherfuckers. Yeah, Jeff Beck struck me as the kind of dude, you don't fuck with Jeff. You know, put a foot up your ass. You ain't taking no shorts off of no motherfuckers. I love Jeff Beck. That's my kind of person. A live album, Jeff Beck Live Plus. There's a couple of studio recordings on here. And on here, he's working with people I don't know. The people he's playing with are playing their asses off, singing their asses off, because Jeff Beck does that. He makes people bring their A game. And so as a result, this is a really good album. And the Going Down on side 4, whew, wow. Still, he can crush it. And to his credit, this is the most recent thing I have by Jeff Beck, Loud Hailer. When I bought it, I didn't like it because of the vocals. It's like Jeff tries things, and I admire him for that. Always admired him for being willing to try something new, open to working with young, new talent, working with women. And so he really features a new vocalist on here. I don't like her voice, but Jeff does what Jeff wants to do, and this is very bluesy, and the solos are worth it. It's not that she's not good. It's just not that that's not what I'm not interested. I just want to hear Jeff. And Jeff burns it down on here. He does Loud Hailer. If you want to hear some more good Jeff Beck, he actually does some interesting licks on here that are almost kind of like metal. You know, he's always been a heavy player, but never been a metal guitarist. And I have this bootleg of the Jeff Beck group when he was the Rough and Ready version of the group. The recording quality of this is horrible, but again, you get to hear more of the band playing, and it's worth it because of the interplay. Just fantastic. Rest in peace, Jeff Beck. A few CDs. This one, the one that he made with Terry Bozzio and Tony Hymas, the Jeff Beck's Guitar Shop. I love that. I play on his love of cars. He's played with the best. Here's a Jeff Beck anthology. And here's an album of his. What year is this? 2003. Here's one. Should I look at it and it's like, I barely remember what this one sounds like. So this is on the playlist for today too. There's more music and stuff to talk about, but this is massive. It's massive. It's, Jeff Beck has had a much more positive effect on my life than any public figure, like a politician, that I can think of. Seriously. He's brought a lot of joy and depth to my life through his music and through watching his arc of his career. Very interesting how he, again, has always stayed in the game, making music, not chasing stardom. Jeff Beck was a one of a kind, and it's a great loss. It's a great loss. Y'all take care.